Hello again, everybody. Michael Ware, Chairman of the Iowa Firearms Coalition, and we have with us tonight Dillon Daughenbaugh, our Communications Director, and he came to me, or us rather, with a request and said, hey, in light of what we see going on around the country, locally, abroad, maybe it's time for a quick once-over or a consideration on what it's like to go armed and what situations you may find yourself in, whether it's within a group or some sort of a threat or potential threat, and or if you're just carrying, what considerations do you have to make? And we should be thinking about that all the time. And I know that most people listening to this that carry will understand what I'm saying, and then everybody else has yet to grasp this. But by virtue of people carrying, Dillon, and I think that you'll probably agree, tell me if you don't, every confrontation that you potentially get into is considered an armed confrontation by virtue of the fact that I know that I'm armed. So
Yes.
What that really does for people like me, people who carry, is that changes the stakes in the game. And I don't mean for that to sound ominous or big. It is, but what should be rightly understood is it turns me into a very passive person because I don't wish to be in any kind of confrontation. So as a result of this responsibility that I have in terms of carrying, I turn the other cheek every single opportunity I get. And I find myself avoiding dark alleys and taking the lit path all the time because I seek to avoid that. And I think that those are some of the unknown, understood good aspects of responsibility and carry, because it changes what you think and how you think. And so those are some of the things that I would like for people to grasp that haven't given those considerations before. But beyond that, you were talking about 4 aspects in Iowa law that people need to be thinking about before they carry and during their carry. So why don't you go ahead and begin with some of those, and let's visit.
So I think first off, we'll go with going armed with intent.
Okay.
I can read the law if you want real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Synopsis. So a person who goes armed with any dangerous weapon with the intent to use without justification such weapon against the person of another commits a Class D felony. The intent required for violation of this shall not be inferred from the mere carrying or concealment of dangerous weapon itself, including the carrying of a loaded firearm, whether in a vehicle or on or about a person's body. So, in short, if you're going with ill intentions, you're already, you have a firearm, and maybe you're not lawfully carrying, or you're just having it in the back of your mind, I'm gonna shoot someone today, or I'm gonna go with armed with intent. It's starting in the back of your mind.
Yeah, there's no offensive posture there that I can think of that would fit in that criteria. So, and we know that because we're using our weapons and we're carrying our weapons in a defensive posture. And those are completely different things.
Yep. So, you said it yourself earlier, avoidance in itself that's one of the easiest ways to keep you out of trouble, keep you and yours safe. But also, thanks to IFC, we've got some good legislation passed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I could start, I guess, I don't know, top, bottom of the list, but I've got 3 more here that I kind of thought were important to this discussion. So we have stand your ground.
Yeah.
It permits the just foul use of deadly force in certain circumstances, so long as you're lawfully carrying. This is all you have to be lawfully carrying with your Iowa permit to carry, or So that's one of those where I'm not sure how to put this.
Well, it's a stark change. I mean,
Yeah.
If you look at where Iowa was before we passed Stand Your Ground, it was kind of a weird grayness that was in Iowa code. There were some who described what we were bound to as a duty to retreat, but it was kind of only partially that way. And since it was muddy, it certainly wasn't stand your ground, no doubt about that. And so we were glad to have that passed. And there are people who I think who still misunderstand that. I mean, I still hear things like Trayvon Martin being used, and I'm like, wait a minute, stand your ground obviously didn't apply and allow that to happen, so to speak. And then, like, as witnessed by Watt, I said, because he went to trial. If it truly would have been stand your ground, they would have told him to turn in your weapon for inspection and we'll get it back to you right away, go about your day. But that isn't what happened. I mean, what was his name? Zimmerman, is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's right. Something like that.
Andrew Zimmerman. Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Neighborhood watch.
arrested and he went to trial. So if he would have, if a stand your ground would have asserted from the beginning, there wouldn't have even been any charges filed. So people poorly understand that. I mean, that needs to be sought out at some point, and people need to grasp that anyway at some point. But I think some do, but many still get that one wrong. We do that a lot in the firearms industry. We should be careful that this video doesn't last 5 hours, but I wouldn't even say in the firearms industry. This happens in common use. I mean, we talk about things as silly as gun violence all the time. I mean, this one right back here, what possible difference does it make anyway? I mean, I don't know if you can see the little Hillary doll back there.
I see it.
Yeah, either that or you didn't build that. You didn't build that. I mean, anyway, these guys. Sorry, got all chased a rabbit. But no, people talk about gun violence all the time. Well, that's a highly successful propagandized phrase put together by the other team because they have demonized the word gun. And it's not a demonic word, and so they put those two together to associate violence being bad and with gun being bad now. And I make the analogy all the time. I'm like, well, I tripped over a tree that I cut down the other day, and I don't think that I'm a victim of stump violence, but that's the analogy that I would make for people. And so we've got to be careful we don't use the wrong words because there's no such thing as gun violence. There's just violence, because a gun's just a tool, or just like anything else.
It's an object. Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree fully. Yeah.
What was the next one on your list?
So I've got no duty to retreat.
Yeah.
And that one's a pretty straightforward one. A person who is not engaged in illegal activity, key word there, illegal activity, has no duty to retreat from any place where the person is lawfully present before using force. And then also the castle doctrines in there. So those are my top four.
Yeah.
That I think pertain to, political events, rallies, protests, riots, anything of that nature. Inserting a weapon into that.
Well, I know that what you wanted to cover tonight, or this afternoon rather, were scenarios where people would be thinking about, well, rather than scenarios, that was a poor choice of words. I don't like to get into scenario-based discussions because they pinpoint on little tiny things, and it would be rare that the scenario that we made in a training or discussion would be the one that you found yourself in
exactly
in real life. And I don't want to relegate training or thought, if you will, because training it starts here and flows from there. So I don't want to relegate these situations to scenarios, but I think it's good and it's necessary to have an overview and an understanding of these things before you go healed. I believe it's part of your responsibility, and I don't think I could find an instructor who would say otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, did we hit some of the high points that you want to go over, or should we see if we can round up somebody like Richard and maybe Scott Jones or whatever else and bring this back a second time in more depth? I mean, what are your thoughts?
For sure, yeah. I would always take their input. They're experts in the matter, especially putting it into words.
Yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable with this, but
Okay.
I think bringing them back in sometime though would be excellent.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get some comments, or some people will ask for that to just for their edification. Richard Rogers is our chief lobbyist. He's a member of the board, and he is very, very shrewd. I mean, he's pretty handy with legislation and code and how it fits and why. And admittedly, I don't know if very many of us or those watching have compared Iowa's code to other states, but there are some states with very little in their code regarding weapons and these kinds of policies, firearms in general. Iowa's not very bloated, I don't think. So there's a lot of stuff I'd like to see removed, mind you, but it's not too bad compared to many. And there's some out there that it's as thick as a telephone book. I mean, it's thicker than the Bible just for the weapons section. So thankfully we don't have as much gobbledygook as many. but Richard's really good at that, and Scott Jones is our state director from NRA. He's our liaison, and those guys are pretty handy with this kind of thing. So if there's something that I'm not reading or not sure about, or I need some shoring up, those are the first two guys that I think of. So we could have them on and visit with them.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything in parting that we need to get out to everybody?
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Any questions at all, feel free to contact us anywhere on social media, email, anything. But that's all I've got, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Dillon, again, is our communications director. We appreciate his work, and thank you, everybody out there. Signing off for now. Stay safe out there. Take care from everybody here at IFC.